As you are listening, I want you guys to understand that this is a non-profit, free for all educational database that I calculated. Welcome to Dark Game. Dark Game is a series of events that led me to who I am today. But I wanted to give you guys chapter 1, the hyperbolic time chamber. Okay, the story starts off with me in a new location. Me living away from a house I was way too familiar with, where I didn't really get enough outside resources, enough outside opinions. I was very close and sheltered within a broken home, so I went to another broken home that wasn't as chaotic. So when I went to this home, I realized, this isn't at all what I felt like living like a bum should be. I had a lot of stuff to keep me content under the sun. And contrary before this life, I was a spoiled brat, got everything I wanted. Mainly because not only did I look good, I behaved good. So I had two things, and one thing I learned from two of those lessons is those only work when you're a child, because when you look good and you get rewarded, there's this thing called eye candy that people take advantage of on the daily basis. People aren't even content if they get fucked or not. They just look at someone and they're content. Like, there's some teachers in high school right now that are looking at little girls. They're not acting on it, but their intentions are real. They're thinking about the little girls while they're fucking their wives at home. And this is a really, really bad thing. I want you to understand that we live in a fucked up world. You see, I used to be known as the chronic wanker who didn't have a job and didn't go to school, the loser society who dropped out of college and complained why he had no friends and why he didn't have no girlfriends when he had the opportunity and his adult life to make up for his past, and he let go of an opportunity because it didn't come fast enough. And what I learned from all that bullshit is that it's not about how hard I was actually gonna work, it's the connections I had when I was growing up. And what's the whole point of me having a job if once I get the job I realize it was for the wrong reason? And so what happens is I make territory very quickly as soon as I get to this place, and I start to learn, this isn't so bad. Back when I was at my old city, it was kind of snobbish. It's kind of like treat people the way you want to be treated, and there is no problem. And that's how it was for that entire time there. But there was this one specific moment where I got offered a job. Now, this is the chronic fucking loser here getting offered a job as soon as he makes it to this new location. And he's like, are you interested in working here? I'm like, yeah. So he asked for my phone number. Then this guy actually offers me to lunch. And he offers me to lunch and he promises me the job. I'm like, oh, why else would he? So like, oh, I love Panda. Oh, you like Panda? Oh, of course I love Panda. Okay, so it was really crazy because that time when he asked me for lunch, he took me over to the car. He started feeling on me. I'm like, the fuck is this? I'm like, nigga, bounce me off this car immediately. And he did not understand that, I am a straight man, and he knew he was gay. I'm like, dude, I'm like, okay, I can tolerate him as long as he doesn't act on it. I'm like, these motherfucking teachers in high school, as much as I hate their guts, I respect them for being smart enough to not act on what they're thinking. And this motherfucker actually tried to trap me in his car and actually tried to rape me. I'm like, nigga, fuck. He gave up. So this was a lesson learned that I laid low. I stopped trying to get a job ever since that because I realized that that was supremely out of pocket. And I had a lot to learn about getting jobs. And later on, I figured out I met an old friend from high school who commented on this thing. I told her how like things have changed and how I'm in a rough spot in life, and she went above and beyond to try to get on my dick. And I can't honestly stress enough of how important it is for you guys to realize that this is one of my best friends who had Velmer's Scooby-Doo complex, wore glasses, had freckles, shaggy hair, did not view her a sexual way in any way, shape, or form. And so I meet her at an event, and she comes and she gives me her number, and I text her, and she's wondering if I'm going to school or working. Now, this is me after I get fresh off the chamber, and she sees me with muscles, she sees me with a different wardrobe, she thinks that I'm a completely different person. Well, we used to be nerds in high school, and we used to talk about like nothing but 8-bit music, drawings, you know, all that stuff. And she actually turned into a hoe as soon as she saw some black meat. And I was really, really pissed off at this turn of events, because I tried texting her about how I almost got raped. Like, okay, there's a reason why I don't have a job. I don't trust no one. And so I texted her, and she's all like, okay, well, remember, when you get raped, you gotta take a piece of their clothing, you gotta do this and that. And I text her, I'm like, excuse me? Like, what possessed you to ask me that question when you know me as a nerd in high school? Why the fuck would you ever ask me that fucking question? Well, you know damn well that we were fucking nerds. You're gonna sit here and ask me some fucking hoodlum questions just because I got into a little struggle. I'm still me at the end of the fucking day. The struggle didn't really change my intentions or how I view you as a person. But you, I think you got a little bit too over your head, thinking that, yo, just because I grew some bars does not mean you have permission to suck them. And so the moral of the story, to why this is a great kicker, and how I realized about life is man and woman cannot be friends. And besides that, another thing I want to let you guys know, what I learned in the hyperbolic time chamber where I first got there, besides that racist moment bullshit that we got within literally the first month of me staying at this spot, we go into a little dilemma where I figure out about why I'm not getting jobs as a whole. One, because I'm black, and two, I'm good looking. And those are two things you gotta watch out too. Like, not just being black, but when you're good looking, society, people might not give you the job just specifically because they don't want to see you make it. They don't want to see you like when different fucking clothes. They don't want to see you like being able to keep up with everybody else, when they know if you have the tools that you will shine brighter. And some people are in that position, some people are not. But what I learned from all those experiences is that people don't mean what they say when they say, oh, I'll call you back, or, oh, this is kind of a difficult thing for me to answer, you know. Hey, maybe if you did this, maybe you did that. You see, those are what you call wasting your times and wasting their professional aspect of what they're doing based off of biasism. And it is selfish what they're doing, but at the end of the day, they have the right to get that shit. But once you grow older, you realize that a lot of people work for people who are dumber than them. So all aside about the money, fuck that. I'm talking about people in general. How I learned about it is that life is way easier than people make it out to be. People like in abusive households have nothing on this easy ass world that I'm trying to let you guys know that it's not something that you can really take seriously. And what I mean by that is, I used to think I was a horny camper, that I couldn't hook up with females, I couldn't keep up with the modern trends, I used to be a loser. But that shit all went away as soon as I got to the spot, and I learned how easy it was to get a woman. It was not even fucking funny. First off, what I want to get out there is that I dropped out of community college, and I was wondering why am I not getting the social this and that. So here's the thing. I realized that even though they classified me as someone that was a loser, I wasn't different from anyone else at all because of what I was doing. I was constantly consistent. I'm trying to build my craft while everybody else was, doing work in school. But as far as me as a person, I had a lot more freedom than they did. And I could do a whole lot more when they were studying and while they were working and shit. So, what I figured out was this. As a homeless guy, basically, you see, the place I was living at wasn't too different from being homeless itself. I was living just like a college student, if you think about it. And I realized that what's the whole point of going to university if I'm going to end up living in the same circumstances as these college guys and I'm damn near homeless? So what happened was this. I would go around panhandling, try to ask for people for 50 cents, and guess what I would buy? I would get some top ramen. And I would survive off top ramen like a college student while I was working on my craft and what I do in my life. And like, what's the difference between me struggling trying to survive and a college student trying to struggle to survive? Because, there's bills to pay, there's all that other stuff. The only thing is, I wasn't 100% responsible, but once I gained that responsibility that I will push back into another chapter, I learned that once I started to struggle for food, struggle for stuff to keep me at bay, just so I could survive, I stopped giving a fuck about women, and that gave me my own little self-esteem that, like, when people try to get over me, if a girl tried to give me some attention, like, I finally learned how to run away because there was always something extra. There was always something there that I just couldn't afford. And how I realized this is that I started to pull a whole lot more when I had no money than when I did have money, because whenever I would ask a girl out on a date, they would want me to do more than the girls who are actually just willing to just chill, just smoke for a little bit. And I realized that when girls tease you, they tease you for a very good fucking reason. They don't tease you for no fucking reason. The only problem is they don't know what the outcome is because they're thinking in the right now. So right now they might want to fuck, but when you finally get down to it, I don't want to fuck, I just want to listen to music. I don't want to fuck, I actually just want to sit and cuddle. But at the time, when they're in heat, I realized that they have juices just like guys have juices, and they get horny just like men get horny. And I realized that there's really no difference between us, like how a lot of big towns believe there are. Yes, there are astronomical differences between men and women, but as far as how you treat them, that's what people be fucking up, I realized that, you can't talk to them like they're gods, but you can't talk to them like they're an alien either. You get your point across, but you don't make it in a way where you're okay with them being a girl and them not giving you something. You gotta do a little bit of the best of both worlds. I'm not saying that you instantly try to get into their pants. I'm just saying that comes with the territory, that comes with the ground, that comes with their approach. That's all within their approach. So if they try to come at you like, yo, don't come at me with that disrespectful shit, I'm like, you want me to be on top. And that is why you just call it out. And that's when you set up the date after she comes at you foul and stuff like that. And that's how I surpassed all what they say. Like, what they saying was like no, but their actions were another thing. And I realized that, like, when there's a little glimpse of hope, I was actually able to get through and bust through the doors that I was actually blocking my way through, and I was able to block whatever the fuck excuse this dude is making. I'm like, the only reason why I don't believe your excuse is that if everything you're saying is true, then you wouldn't be talking to me in the first place. Now, on the other side, I realized it wasn't also that tricky because I started hanging around a whole lot more different people who also had the same philosophies I had of why is society so meaningless? Why is it just a stupid loop where you repeat the same cycle all over again? And why do we stop dwelling in the past but history keeps repeating itself. This shit was all confusing to me, and I realized that we are not too different from animals. We have similar patterns for animals, but we use our human skills to do animalistic shit, and we mask it with all this fucking concrete and everything that we fucking built with our own two hands, not realizing that, yo, we don't give a fuck about this fucking building, you know. Someone could get shot and like literally no one would fucking care because someone shot someone else over some fucking coochie, which is some cannibalistic shit. Like that girl I was trying to tell you from back when I was in high school who told me about if you get raped, you gotta do these things. I'm like, I'm a grown-ass man. You don't have to tell me that shit. The only reason why you're telling me that shit is because it has the category of sex in it. And that shit pisses me off. And you gotta understand that you have a role and the woman has a role to play. So, within the time travel, what I learned was this. I learned that you can't just talk to them a certain way, you know. There's a certain tone, there's a certain swag that you have to say when you're with anyone, not just them. This whole... And another thing I realized about why this is so informational for me, and why it's important to know why I felt the way I did. You see, I used to feel inferior through my class back when I was at my old city, but I got to a new city, I met up with some people, I'm like, yo, you know how I do this specific activity? And he did better than me, and I did better than everyone in my town because I practiced back in my hometown more than anyone. So I'm like, I'm still not matching up to this guy who is eating everybody who I used to be jealous of back in my town. So he taught me, and he's like, yo, you need to be crazier when you do this specific activity. So when you do this, and he taught me like, yo, the place I came from wasn't shit, no wonder I was held back. And so funny enough, when I was a part of an internet group where I talked to the best of the best guy who was there, and he used to tell me like, yo, back when I used to do this, I used to be in your position, I used to be the lowest of the low, and it's only because I used to get my ass kicked at that other region is why I'm dominating in this region. That's a lot of stuff that you guys need to know. When you come to different territories with knowledge that you've gained from other aspects and other areas in life that had harder difficulties, it may seem like you're the king, but inside you know that you are not anything and that you are far from the shit. And a lot of people get that confused. And yeah, I learned how people lie and how people in profession lie, and how no matter how professional it is on the outside, you still see the in-between cracks and flaws of what they're trying to portray and the contradictions that they are. But you also see the external validation they get. I saw everything when I was at the spot because I used to memorize the spots. I used to realize how the woman would think and like how they didn't want to be held accountable for their actions, you know. But on the other side, you know, some girls will just be okay if you just spend a little bit more, you know, just spend average and not go a whole lot, like take them to a cheesecake factory and no bullshit like that. I fucking learned that there's a lot of ways that you can cope with one situation. I also learned that there are people who try to call you crazy if you don't let them, you know, get over, and you don't like kiss ass more than anyone, and you actually try to make it up there. So I've learned that people will lie in order to get out of stuff that they started. People will lie in order to like sell your dream, you know. Lying is something that I learned in a while, and a lot of people get confident in their lies, and when they start believing in their own lies is when they really start getting over on people, because they're able to fool themselves. And I learned a lot about the psyche is that when you're dissing other people, you're dissing yourselves as well, and you know, that's another thing. So this whole hyperbolic time chamber taught me a lot of stuff that is the core problems of society: racism, sexism. You know, there's always the drug addicts across the street, down. You know, there's a lot of stuff that it taught me that I'm not so different from everyone else. Even though I'm in a different position, I'm in a different place. I'm in the same motherfucking rank as you, surprisingly. And that's what I learned, is that you're not so different to the point where you can't make a difference in your own beneficial way that's personally made for you, and that you can't carve your own path of life. You don't have to do your own, you don't have to follow what society tells you. But yeah, this is chapter 1 of the Dark Game book.